Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 7.1A. I've entitled this video, The Original AOC. This video is going to cover pages 176 to 179. The Making of a Republic. After throwing off British rule, the independent states faced the challenge of governing themselves. The 13 states needed a plan of government that would satisfy all their needs. Would the states be able to work together and still maintain their independence? How would each individual state govern itself? Question number 1. The United States won the Revolutionary War. Now, what was the next big challenge facing the new country? How we would govern the 13 states and work together to govern our nation. States' right constitutions. The Continental Congress took up this last question even before declaring independence. In May of 1776, Congress asked the states to organize their governments. Each state adopted a state constitution, or plan of government. 8 states had drafted constitutions before the end of the year. New York and Georgia followed in 1777, and Massachusetts in 1780. Connecticut and Rhode Island decided to use their colonial charters as state constitutions. Question number 2. What did Congress ask the states to do to prepare for a time when Britain was not in control? Congress asked the states to organize their own governments. Question 3. What is a constitution? A constitution is a plan of government. Limits on power. After years of British rule, Americans were determined not to place too much power in the hands of one ruler or body. They crafted constitutions that limited the power of the governor. Pennsylvania's constitution replaced the office entirely with an elected 12-person council. States also divided power between the governor or council and the legislature. Most states set up two-house or bicameral legislatures to divide the work of government even further. Question number 4. After British rule, what did the states do to the power of the person in control? They made sure that not too much power was in the hands of one person or body. So they tried to limit the power that one person could have. Question number 5. What are 2 ways the states divided the power of the government? Well, first, they divided the power between the governor and the legislature. So they split the power between the ruler, called the governor or the council, and the legislature, the group of people that make the laws. So first, those two were split up. And then in the legislature themselves, they even split that up into 2 separate houses in the legislature itself. Question 6. What does the word bicameral mean? It means 2 houses. For example, in our modern government, we have a House of Representatives and we have a Senate. So we still use a bicameral system today. And this map shows you around the world the states that use this system is in that color, which I can't tell you because I'm colorblind, but then you see these other colors as well. The first state constitutions aimed to keep power in the hands of the people. For example, voters chose the state legislators, and states held elections often. In most states, only white males who were at least 21 years old could vote. These men also had to own a certain amount of property or pay a certain amount of taxes. Some states allowed free African American males to vote. Because state constitutions limited the powers of the governors, the legislatures became the most powerful branch of government. The state legislatures tried to make taxes fair for everyone, but disagreements arose. The shift from British colonies to self-governing states held many challenges. Question number 7. What did the first state constitutions try to do with the power? They tried to keep the power in the hands of the people. Question 8. What were the 4 qualifications to vote in most states at that time? Well, number 1, you had to be white. 2, you had to be a male. 3, you had to be at least 21 years old. And 4, you either had to own a certain amount of property or pay a certain amount of taxes. Question 9. In some states, African Americans could vote if they met which 2 qualifications? If they were free and if they were male. Question 10. Which one of the branches of government was the most powerful in the states at that time? The legislative branch of government. A new republic. In addition to forming state governments, the American people had to form a national government. People agreed the new country should be a republic, a government in which citizens rule through elected representatives. They could not agree, however, on what powers the new republic's government should have. Question number 11. What is a republic? A republic is a government in which the citizens rule through elected representatives. At first, most Americans wanted a weak central government. They expected each state would remain free to act independently on most issues. The states would rely on the central government, or federal government, or national government, whichever way you want to put it, only to wage war and handle relations with other countries. Question 12. At first, most Americans wanted what type of central or federal or national government? They wanted it to be weak. And number 13. At first, most people were expecting each state to be able to do what? To act independently on most of the issues. Maybe not on waging war or handling relations with other countries, but for most of the other issues, they expected the states would be able to act as they pleased. The Articles of Confederation. In 1776, the Second Continental Congress appointed a committee to draw up a plan for a new central government. The result of this committee's work was the Articles of Confederation. After much discussion, Congress adopted the Articles, the nation's first constitution, in November 1777. The Articles of Confederation established a weak central government. The states kept most of their power. For the states, the Articles of Confederation were, quote, a firm league of friendship, in which each state retained its sovereignty, freedom, and independence. Question 14. What became the first Constitution of the United States adopted by Congress in November of 1777? The Articles of Confederation, abbreviated from here on out as AOC. The Articles of Confederation gave the Congress limited powers. Congress could conduct foreign affairs, maintain armed forces, borrow money, and issue currency. Congress did not have the power to regulate trade, force citizens to join the army, or impose taxes. If Congress needed to raise money or troops, it had to ask the states. States were not required to contribute. Question 15. What were four powers Congress had under the AOC? Number 1, they could conduct foreign affairs. 2, they could maintain armed forces. 3, borrow money. And 4, issue currency. Question 16. What were 3 things Congress could not do under the AOC? They could not regulate trade. They could not force citizens to join the army. And they could not impose taxes. The new central government had no chief executive. This is an official, such as a president or a governor, who carries out the laws and leads the government in its day-to-day operations. Under the Articles of Confederation, government carried on its business, such as selling Western lands, through congressional committees. Question number 17. What does the word executive or phrase chief executive mean? That is an official, like a president or governor, who carries out the laws and leads the government in day-to-day operations. Question 18. Did the AOC have a chief executive? No, it did not. All the states had to approve the Articles and any amendments, yet not every state supported the Articles of Confederation at first. Under the new plan, each state had one vote regardless of population. States with large populations believed they should have more votes. Disputes over land also threatened to block approval of the Articles. By the 1780s, 7 of the original states laid claim to areas in the West, and you can see that pictured on the map here. A lot of these states were like, we have more land. Maryland refused to approve the Articles until New York, Virginia, and other states abandoned or dropped their land claims west of the Appalachian Mountains. This done, Maryland joined the other 12 states in approving the Articles. On March 1st, 1781, the Confederation formally became the government of the United States of America. Question number 19. How many of the states had to approve the Articles and any amendments? Every state had to approve. Question 20. Under this new plan, how was voting different for states with a large population versus states that did not have a large population? It didn't matter. Each state got one vote and population did not matter. How did states with big populations feel about this? They didn't like it. They felt like that should change. Question 21. Besides the debate over how many votes the states should receive based on population, what was another big issue that threatened the AOC from passing? The issue of land. You see, many of these states had claims to land, and the other states that especially were smaller states were afraid, oh my goodness, if Pennsylvania, Virginia, if these states get even more land, they're just going to become so big that we're going to be just outmaneuvered, and they're just going to be too big, and they'll have way more power than we have. The Confederation government. The next several years were critical ones for the young republic. It soon became clear that the new national government was too weak to handle the problems facing the United States. The weak Congress could not pass a law unless 9 states voted in favor of it. Changing the Articles required the approval of all 13 states. This made it hard for Congress to pass laws when there was any disagreement. Even with these new challenges, the new government managed some key achievements. Under the Confederation government, Americans negotiated a peace treaty with Britain and expanded the country's foreign trade. The Confederation also helped with settling and governing the country's western lands. Question 22. Over the first couple of years under the AOC, what became clear about the new national government? That it was too weak to handle the problems facing the country. Question 23. How many states of the 13 were required to pass a law in Congress? You needed 9 of the 13 states. That could be pretty challenging. Question 24. What's even more challenging, how many states of the 13 were required to change the Articles? Every state, you had to have 13 out of 13 states all agree before any amendments or changes to the Articles could occur. That was extremely challenging. And question 25. While it would eventually be replaced, what were 4 major accomplishments of the Articles of Confederation? Number 1, it negotiated a peace treaty with Britain. Number 2, it expanded our country's foreign trade. Number 3, it helped to settle the country's western lands. And number 4, it helped to govern the country's western lands. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, I have a meme for you. Articles of Confederation. Federal government ain't got no power from that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.